On today's show, we wind the clock back to 2013 and head to Hidden Valley Raceway in Darwin as we look back on the action and drama for round 2 of the 2013 Australian Supercross Championship. And with the 2019-20 FIA Formula E Championship set to resume in the coming weeks, we look back on last season's dramatic final round from the streets of New York City, where John-Eric Vergne claimed his second title. This is Speedweek.
And welcome to Darwin's Hidden Valley Raceway for round 2 of the Australian Supercross Championships, brought to you by Terex and Milwaukee Tools. I'm Lee Hogan alongside Cam Williams. Let's have a little bit of a chat about yesterday's round 1, Cam. The Pro Open class, no surprises here. Matt Moss, the most dominating I've ever seen him, taking a solid victory, hole-shotting and leading from wire to wire. But it was his twin brother that was his main competition in second. Wasn't too happy about it.
He's never going to be second. I suppose if you want to lose, you might as well lose to your twin brother to make it a little bit less painful, you know. And then the resurgence of Jay Marmont. We're so happy to see Jay Marmont back up on the podium. And I think he's going to be a championship threat, Marmont. He just needs to find that little bit more to get up with those first 4 or 5 laps of Matt Moss.
We're happy, he's happy, the team's happy. Everyone's happy to see Jay Marmont back. No doubt a very soft spot in most people's hearts in Australian Supercross and Motocross. Well, we're here, round 2, Hidden Valley. Can't wait to get into it. Let's get amongst it. Well, we are certainly enjoying ourselves here at Darwin. Let's take a look at the championship points tally. 25 points to Matt Moss, 22 for Jake Moss. Jay Marmont in 3rd place with 20.
18's Josh Hill. Then we go the first of the CDR riders, Lawson Bopping, Daniel McCoy on the KTM, Weston Pike, Kirk Gibbs, Cade Mosick, and Sam Martin rounding out the top 10.
Yes, Sam, just squeezing in there in the top 10. He's going to be hoping for more. We are on board with Weston Pike. He's our Carlton Dry Honda rider. Let's follow him as he comes through. He's going to show us how it's done.
A little bit of a change here as well. Notice that on-off section, I should say, that we didn't see in the first round. The guys made some changes. Looks to me like it's probably a little bit better and allows it to flow a bit better, doesn't it?
Well, it does look like it flows better, but also let's change it up. Let's mix it up a little bit for these guys and definitely test them a little bit. Have a look at the ruts already starting to form. That is nowhere near as deep as they'll see it later on race day. And he's tipping it into the right-hander here, up and over the biggest triple on the track that just happens to be straight on into the sunshine.
Sweep right and then left through KTM, and then we line up at these whoops, and we've seen these Americans, they are dominant through these whoops. And get a look at Weston Pike. He carries some good speed in and rails that next corner. Little tricky little triple over there, and then into the big Carlton Dry triple.
Now this one here's a cool one. The riders tend to lean to the inside. It naturally makes you want to piff the bike out a little bit. Photographers getting some great shots through here off camber and across the start line here. And this is a triple that quite often can be done as a quad, but the riders electing not to do it. A little bit dangerous. Right-handed berm and up and over the sensational finish line jump here. A little bit of a scrub there from Weston Pike. And that completes 1 lap here at Hidden Valley.
Interesting to note there as well, isn't it, Lee? When they go right through that off camber, going to rely a lot there on tyres and suspension setup to make it track well through there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about bike setup here. A lot of people, unfortunately, they tend to set up their Supercross bike based on a pristine, beautifully set up Supercross track that's brand new. And quite often, if you do that, you'll set your suspension up a little bit too stiff. You need to make sure that you bring into consideration that we get bumps later on in the business end of the night. Let's have a look here at our rider list.
Heat 1, Kirk Gibbs, Jake Moss, Lawson Bopping, Jay Marmont, Timmy Varr, Matt Hayworth, Philip Bodie and Sam Martin, all 8 riders ready to rumble.
Looking forward to seeing how Kirk Gibbs goes here. He's on the factory KTM machine. On screen at the moment, Matty Hayworth. He is on the Monster Energy Kawasaki. That ride inherited from Adam Monia, who's been a bit of a revelation here in the Outdoor Motocross Championship, hurting himself only days prior to round 1 here at Darwin.
Yeah, tough break for Adam Mons. It's an unforgiving sport, this one, isn't it? On board here with Philip Bodie, the young Darwin rider. Got his hands full. Right next to him is Sammy Martin on that H&H Ensure My Ride machine. Man, that kid came on to form right towards the back end of the motocross. Just about to get the jump here, Lee.
Yeah, let's have a look at who is going to jump out of the gate here terrifically in Heat 1 for round 2. A little bit of wheel spin there for Philip Bodie, but the rider that I mentioned before, Kirk Gibbs, what a jump out of the gate. A very, very clear hole shot, but messes up that first jump, and that's allowed Lawson Bopping on the CDR Yamaha. And of course, the CDR Yamaha boys in Bopping and Mosick debuting up here in Darwin, the new 2014 Yamaha 450.
By all accounts, everybody really enjoying that machine. This is the best we've seen Lawson Bopping get it started in quite some time. It's been a really tough season for Lawson Bopping. Obviously with that diabetes and now a long-term illness that's going to take him a while to recover from. We've hoped that obviously nothing but the best of Lawson Bopping. Or a couple of his guys at the back here, Sammy Martin being forced to go 2-1. We go back to the front and Kirk Gibbs, wow. Not noted as a Supercross rider, is he, Lee? And we're seeing him here in this heat, sitting in second place behind someone who realistically is a very strong Supercross rider.
Well, I think Kirk Gibbs is just natural on 2 wheels. I think it doesn't matter what element of the sport. We could probably put him into trials or off-road, enduro, etc. And he's probably going to do pretty good, but doing exceptionally well here. And Lawson Bopping doing a great job at the moment. And I was just going to make mention, if you were wondering possibly why some of the best Supercross riders on the planet were, let's say, floundering just a little bit. It's very wet conditions out there. Let's take a look at the replay of the whole shot here from Kirk Gibbs. The MotorX KTM rider just had a jump over everyone.
He had 3 bike lengths into the first corner there. Kirk Gibbs looking very good. Having said that, now I think he finds himself just shuffled back a little bit. Lawson Bopping definitely got the better of the first exchange in those first corners there. Now Jake Moss starting to get to terms with Kirk Gibbs and looking to apply a lot of pressure onto Kirk Gibbs. So we see Lawson Bopping get some good rhythm through those whoops.
And I'm really enjoying watching some of the creative lines from Jake Moss now, cutting from the outside back to the inside as they approach that straight where the whoops were. He's quite possibly trying to avoid some of the roost that's coming off the back of these bikes. Let's not forget how much water's down. You don't want to completely pepper your goggles in these very early laps.
A lot of rocks in that stuff as well. And coming off the back of one of these 450s, those things definitely aren't going to tickle, are they?
No, that's for sure. There's a great battle going on at the head of the pack as Kirk Gibbs has found his way onto the very back of Lawson Bopping. Now, I've seen Bopping jump some very cool jumps here in the early stages of Heat 1, but it doesn't seem to have gained him any ground over these two. The pressure that's coming from the KTM rider and the Suzuki rider is massive. I think it's only a matter of time before one of these guys manages to make their way past, and it's certainly looking like it's going to be Kirk Gibbs at this stage.
Yeah, that's provided Jake Moss doesn't get on terms with Kirk Gibbs and have a shot at second place, and then go after Lawson Bopping from there. But these guys 1, 2 and 3, Marmont just a little bit off that battle back in 4th place. 3rd place yesterday for Jay Marmont. His tail's most definitely wagging and his confidence is strong as we see again Gibbs opting just to jump into those whoops and then run a standard skim pattern from there. But Lawson Bopping at the moment definitely doing enough to just hold these guys at bay.
And these guys are trying to sort each other out. They're trying to gain confidence and see who's got that one up, the slightly upper hand on speed and line selection. And another thing you need to bring into consideration is some people are really good in the wet, some people are really good in the dry. So there's all kinds of, I guess, people shuffling around trying to figure out who's got the upper hand. And at the moment, Kirk Gibbs going to the inside and a beautiful pass on Lawson Bopping. And that allows Jake Moss to come through at the same time. Just a little bit too tentative was Lawson Bopping there. He had all kinds of pressure from these two and left the door wide open.
Wow, Jake Moss didn't mess around there. He saw the opportunity and he pounced. Something that a lot of people probably wouldn't know about Lawson Bopping. On top of being a diabetic, he's also got glandular fever. So glandular fever, when I spoke to him in the pits, what it's actually doing to him, it doesn't allow him to elevate his heart rate. So he gets his heart rate to a certain point and he just feels tired and just can't push on and can't drive on. So really strong performance here from Lawson Bopping just to be out here under those conditions in this terrible heat. Obviously, he's a very fit guy, so we'll keep our eye on Lawson Bopping and his progress, but so far it looks to me like Jake Moss and Kirk Gibbs definitely got the better of him. Now Jay Marmont's starting to look like he's going to get on terms.
Well, Kirk Gibbs has really opened it up now. He's on fire at the moment. He's starting to stretch out that lead a little bit over Jake Moss. And it'll be interesting to see how that pans out over the next lap or so. Now, Jay Marmont, just a short while ago, was out of roost range, but now he's back on the tail end. And we're going to have another quick look here, a little bit of a slow motion replay of that pass, and what a pass it was. Have a look at Jake Moss, who's just ready to pounce. Almost got straight onto the back of Kirk Gibbs.
He just about did that, didn't he? It was a phenomenal performance there from Jake Moss. Just seize that opportunity, and you've got to seize it every time, don't you? You get a look, you get a sniff, take the opportunity while it presents itself, because very, very likely you're not going to see a second one of those.
Now, what they would have noticed is Lawson Bopping just starting to struggle just a little bit. Once again, standing up all the way through the chicane there. Bopping not feeling comfortable at the moment. Those boys would have seen it, and they made the opportunity. They made it happen. Now, Jay Marmont really does need to do the same. He needs to make the most of this chance and get in there if he wants to battle with these front two place getters.
Looking very good right now, Kirk Gibbs. Interesting note here, for folks may not know this about Kirk Gibbs. Coolum last year, Kirk Gibbs has a massive crash, goes into cardiac arrest on the track. Suzuki race safe, restarted the kid, got him going again. You get a look at this. Here he is back out here in phenomenal form, doing so well. We're just so thankful to have the guys from Suzuki Race Safe taking care of these athletes. And Kirk Gibbs, well, he's taking every opportunity he's got now.
Well, you were there calling the race action. I wasn't at the event, unable to commentate at the Outdoor Nationals. But, mate, when I heard that news, I tell you what, my heart almost stopped. We thought... We didn't know what to expect, and we remembered back, of course, with our very close friend in the tragic news with John O'Porter on the exact same part of the track, on the exact same circuit. And just thank God that it all came around, and look at what he's doing now. It really is a little bit of a Cinderella tale, isn't it?
It is to a certain extent. The only upside in this whole deal for Kirk Gibbs, he was asleep. He doesn't remember any of that, you know. So when you talk to him about it, it's a non-issue for Kirk Gibbs, because he was unconscious when it was all going on. And right now, it definitely hasn't played into Kirk Gibbs' mind, because we are seeing this guy really, really come of age in this championship, in this class. The whole 9 yards we're seeing from Kirk Gibbs. And I would say, give it another 12 months or so, and we are looking at the complete package of a supercross, motocross rider, and someone who is most definitely going to challenge for championships in both categories of racing.
A star well and truly in the making. Only a few corners to go now to take a terrific victory here in the qualifying heat up against one of the fastest supercross riders in the country, one of the Moss twins, Jake Moss. Around the final turn, look at the checkered flag flying. That's the way you do it. MotorX KTM rider Kirk Gibbs, a very, very solid victory here ahead of Jake Moss. Jay Marmont not too bad coming through also.
Yep, gets there in third place, Jay Marmont. Fourth will be Lawson Bopping, Sam Martin, Tim Varr, Matty Hayworth, and Philip Bodie rounding out the field in that one. Great performance from Kirk Gibbs to get that win.
And noticing fastest lap time there, a 1:11.9 for Jake Moss. Next fastest, a 1:12 from Kirk Gibbs and also from Jay Marmont.
Obviously, last night didn't go to plan. Just didn't expect the track to deteriorate the way it did, and a bit of struggle. But tonight we've got a bit better of a setup, and expecting the track to deteriorate, and I think we're feeling in good form.
You're obviously looking really comfortable out there. You know, you look like you're flying around really nicely. How's the 450 out there on a supercross track for you? Is this the first time?
Yeah, first year on 450. So yeah, it's a bit different. You know, I've flatlanded a few things in the last few weeks, but yeah, starting to get there. It's a lot of power on a tight track like this, and yeah, it's just getting accustomed to it and adjusting.
Heat 1 in the books. Coming up, we've got Heat 2. Don't go anywhere.
Here with Jay Foreman, Motor Pirelli Suzuki team manager. Jay, how's your testing going? Obviously, Supercross, short turnaround from motocross. You happy with how things are going and your suspension setup?
Yeah, no, it has been short, and we more or less just started with what we've had last year, which is working good. Both guys are happy, but we'll definitely be testing more the next couple of weeks. We do concentrate on whoops a lot, but we still have to make a turn, and he can always tell us when the bike isn't turning right. Then we have to compromise a little bit in the whoops to make sure it turns. But they have to set the forks up so hard, and then it doesn't like getting into the corners nice.
Time now for qualifying heat number 2 in the Pro Open category, and man, do we have some big names in this race.
It's always going to be stacked. There is the man who's got the red plate now, Matt Moss. He lines up next to Weston Pike there. We've got Daniel McCoy ready to have a shot at this one, really wanting to get on terms with his teammate who won that last heat. Man, this one's going to be a tough one.
It sure is. If there's a rider on the start line that epitomises confidence at the moment, it is Matt Moss. He's just carrying this aura about him at the moment. Let's have a look at the list here. Matt Moss, Josh Hill, Daniel McCoy, Weston Pike, Cade Mosig, first ride here on the Yamaha machine, Louis Woods and Chris Camilleri.
Double duty this weekend for Camilleri. We're seeing him doing some freestyle and a bit of this on that Rockwell Watches machine. There's the number 16 lines up to the very outside of Matt Moss, waiting for the gate drop now.
Well, they're hoping to see a good start and a good race from Josh Hill, but he didn't quite look like he jumped out as well as Matt Moss did, but nonetheless, still slots up there in second place. And Daniel McCoy there on the KTM machine, making a mockery of that. For such a good start, he dropped back a couple of positions, but somehow manages to get across in front of Weston Pike.
A little bit of a bobble there from Josh Hill, and just parked it up in the corner and stalled the whole field there. That one's going to play into his favour though, no big deal there. Then in behind Pike we find Cade Mosey. Now we go on board with Camilleri on that Rockwell Watches machine, through the rhythm section here, into Pirelli turn, and then we line up again with this great big Pirelli triple. Up and over, that's a fair gap there. Camilleri looks to me like he's used all the suspension there.
Well, Chris Camilleri really has had so many caps on this weekend for us, hasn't he? He's been doing freestyle, he's been doing Supercross, he's been running a helmet cam. Is there any more? You sure he doesn't want to maybe hold onto a microphone and do a little bit of commentary perhaps?
Yeah, we'll get him out here a little bit later on, I'd say. Good ride going here from Josh Hill, and this is what we've been waiting for, isn't it, Lee? We want to see Josh Hill take it to Matt Moss. Weston Pike, he's not far off that as well. Good ride moving here from Louis Woods as well. He's locked and loaded in that battle. Really looking to see Josh Hill take it to Matt Moss, aren't we?
Well, that's what we've been waiting for, and he's starting to show a little bit of form that, I've witnessed during his practice sessions. Been doing a little bit of work with Mosig on his private Supercross track, and Josh Hill's been absolutely flying, and hoping to see more of that a little bit later on. Let's have a look at the replay here, the drop of the gate. Easy as you like out of the gate was Matt Moss. No wheel spin, no front wheel coming up. That's how you start when you're a champion.
Josh Hill with a good move there, holds his line. We go on board with Weston Pike here. There's Moss on the outside. He's already got a bike length, and Pike just has to succumb that position as he gets squeezed by Hill. And we know that Daniel McCoy doesn't care who you are, but he is not going to give up anything.
McCoy has got some very broad shoulders and wide elbows, and he doesn't care who you are. He's going to throw it up the inside and let you see a little bit of that orange plastic. But it's all about the yellow at the moment. The Motul Pirelli Suzuki rider Matt Moss doing what he does best, and that is lead races. But Daniel McCoy on screen at the moment is doing a great job, and he looks very comfortable on that bike.
He has adapted to that bike pretty quickly, Daniel McCoy. He does have a good mechanic in Mini who knows his way around the odd championship or two, so knows how to get his riders comfortable on the machines. And McCoy, very, very talented Supercross rider. Not a bad outdoors rider either, Daniel McCoy. Seems to just have a reputation for riding Supercross, but right now, Matt Moss is just loaded with confidence. Josh Hill, not that far behind though, is he?
No, he's doing very well. He can. He's definitely close enough to be able to see the lines that he's taken. I've said it before, I'll say it again quite often. Big mistake there from Josh Hill, but he just picks up the pieces and heads straight for the outside berm. Now, I was just saying that quite often in time qualifying, whether it's America, whether it's over in Europe, if you're a little bit off the pace of the faster guys, you go out and you slot in behind one of the guys that's not 5 seconds a lap faster than you, but 1 or 2 seconds a lap faster, and you can get dragged along. You can really improve your time. Now, maybe what we're seeing here from Josh Hill, he's trying to pick up just that little bit of lap time speed, and who better to base yourself on than Matt Moss at the moment? He's the fastest rider on the track.
Interesting on that one. In the reverse of that, when you're the fastest guy on the track, how do you do that? How do you go out there and find that extra tenth or two when everybody else starts catching up?
Not only don't you follow anyone, but you try to avoid, like the plague, letting someone tag along behind you. So there's all kinds of psychological games being played out there.
Yeah, and Matt Moss at the moment, he's got enough of a gap where I'd say Josh Hill probably not going to get a big, long look at what he's doing there, and there's a good couple of seconds there. Hill looking aggressive now and looking a little bit better than what we saw him in the first round.
Well, all it took was that little mistake, that almost slide out in that corner and then heading to the outside, and he really has lost the tail on the back of Matt Moss there. And if anything, he's almost dropping back into the clutches of Daniel McCoy, and then we see Weston Pike also on a little bit of a charge, and that's the speed of these guys. Nice triple there from Daniel McCoy up onto the tabletop.
Triples on and off there, and the H&H and Sure My Ride machine of Josh Hill, he's got enough time to have a quick look back there and just knows he's parked in second place. Obviously no points on for heats here, so he just wants to get through this heat, get through onto the final, and then worry about it then. But right now, what is it we haven't said about this guy so far? Matt Moss, he's just on perfect form right now.
Well, that little single jump there down into the off camber, if you watch closely next time you see someone come down, when the riders jump almost as far as they can, they almost jump up onto a little bit of a flat plateau there. If you don't quite make it, you land on a little bit of an up face. It's not a massive difference, but it makes a little bit of a difference to how those wrists feel when you land, and certainly how much that bike rebounds and settles nicely for the corner. There we see Weston Pike up the inside, giving a little bit of an thank you to Daniel McCoy.
Yeah, I don't think this one will be over in a hurry yet. Daniel McCoy, we know he's not going to give up anything easily, so Weston Pike, it wasn't a big one really, was just a little bit of an excuse me please, I'm coming through, but Daniel McCoy's not going to lay down with that one, that's for sure.
Now, you won't want to cop that on the chin too much, but you know what that is. If you recall back from round one, that's maybe a little bit of a retaliation. Remember, Daniel McCoy threaded the needle and did almost the unheard of, getting back ahead of both the Americans, not just Weston Pike, but also Josh Hill in two separate circumstances. So quite possibly that is just a little bit of a retaliation there. But you know what? Daniel McCoy won't mind that in the slightest.
He knows that, obviously he loves the rubbing his racing theory, doesn't he? And he knows what's going on there, Daniel McCoy. And it'll go in his memory bank, maybe for the next time when we go racing in the final this afternoon.
And Matt Moss continuing to log in laps here, doing what he does best. Time now for a GoPro replay. We are on board with Weston Pike, and let's see what happens here. Slow motion up the inside, and what a block pass. That is your traditional textbook block pass right there.
Good block pass, but a clean block pass. He's allowed Daniel McCoy enough racing room, and McCoy, well, we know, and he proved it in round one, that he's not going to back down, but Weston Pike could most definitely have been, let's just say, a little smidge more aggressive there if these guys get the last lap board.
And as we saw there when we were watching Weston Pike, he had around about 3 or 4 seconds gap there ahead of Daniel McCoy, but he still went to the inside to protect himself on the corner after the finish line jump. Let's have a look here at Josh Hill, number 75 on the Hutton Huntington Suzuki machine. A little bit better, but still not him at his best.
On board now with Camilleri. He looks like he's going to line up this little triple rhythm section here, and this is a tricky little section there. Nice little seat bounce out of there and then back towards the sun. This big downhill section. They charge back in there on that Rockwell Watches machine. Camilleri through this off-camber section. Yeah,
great to have him here along board, performing so many duties, but performing one duty and doing it the best out of everybody. The factory Suzuki rider carrying number 102, red background because he won the first round of the championship, and that will make this man happy. He's coming through the whoop section, triple, no problem whatsoever. Around the final corner, up and over the finish line tabletop, and victory will be his here.
Second place, Hart and Huntington and Sure My Ride. That's Josh Hill, Carlton Dry Honda rider, Weston Pike, the American. He gets third place. Fourth will be the MotorX KTM of Daniel McCoy. So Matt Moss will be happy with that one.
Well, very close finish there between second, third and fourth, but let's have a quick look at the results here. Matt Moss from Josh Hill, Weston Pike back there in third place, McCoy, Mosig, Woods and Camilleri. That's our top 7, and Cade Mosig just scraping into the top 5 there.
Bike feels good. Obviously everyone's ridden this track for 2 days, 3 days now, so everyone's sort of going pretty fast now. It's you're just trying to find that little edge to beat those guys. So you know, I looked at that then and looked at a couple of different lines, but you know, I feel good as long as I keep getting them hole shots and keep riding the way I am. I feel I should be on top.
Here at Speed and Style Time in Darwin, Chris Camilleri definitely leads this one on double duty this afternoon. Lee Hogan with a great big heart attack there.
Well, he's put his hand up to just say, hey, look, I can do just about anything, and a heart attack is in the repertoire. No problem whatsoever. All blue skies up there. Great shot. Oh, bit of a problem. Eject left and straight into the back of the berm there for Draper.
Yeah, it didn't look so good for Brenton Drager there. He's not particularly happy. See, he's grabbed the back brake there on the halfway up the ramp. A little bit of grit on that one, and we're just going to have a quick look. Yep, there's $5 in there somewhere, and I've just got it.
Wow, thank God for the back of the berm, and he's given a little bit of a, yep, we're good times. Now, let's hope that he's okay. It could have been a lot worse than what it was, but ended up being not too bad. Nice little turn down there from Camilleri.
Wow, that Rockwell watches machine. Now, this guy, he's got to go back to the truck after this, after we watch this turn down again, switch out the rear subframe of this bike and put his race rear subframe in, and then go race Supercross. You see a big rev on the right wrist there, just to get that bike back in line, nice and straight. Brenton Drager back up and running there, a nice super can look back. Good move there from Drager. Then we go with a 9 o'clock Indy. Look at that, legs all the way out to the side. Indy in there, scissor kick the legs there. So Brenton Drager, he's got a bag of tricks. He just looked like maybe the conditions just put him off a little bit. Oh, Camilleri nearly misses the grab hole there, Lee.
Yeah, that's not good. That's definitely where you're reaching for the jockey tear-offs as opposed to Supercross riders pulling the tear-offs off the goggles.
Yeah, he definitely went in there and got him. I have to say Brenton Drager might have gone through a couple of pair of tear-offs himself in that last little one as well.
Oh, great job these boys are doing here. Very, very tough conditions. It's a little bit windy. Oh, Pippin in the back flip. Good times.
Wow, there you go. Jockey tear-offs or no jockey tear-offs. Brenton Drager takes a lot of pluck to have a crash and then come back and throw a backflip essentially off a 60-footer back on board with Camilleri. There he gets that straight Superman seat grab, I'd have to say. A little bit of a wave to the crowd for good luck there for Camilleri.
Well, the main thing is he managed to slot those fingers into the hole there. He might need to cut that one out a little bit bigger if he's stressing a little bit, but no problem whatsoever. And great to see him up there running the 16 on the plate, as he will in the race later on. Well, we're off for a break now. When we come back, it's time for the 15-lap final. It's time for the big 15-lap final here at Darwin's Hidden Valley Raceway. 15 laps the duration. It's climactic. I cannot wait to get into it, Cam.
It's been a tough day's racing here, hasn't it? You'll notice that the shadow's a little bit longer. We've just had to wait a little bit longer to get this racing underway so these guys aren't punished with this light lead. Leading into this final, we get a look at that. Matt Moss has been very, very good. Kirk Gibbs. Both those guys won our first two heats.
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Josh Hill, Jake Moss, Weston Pike. We see Jay Marmont there. Will he be able to get back into fine form, maybe get his first win here?
He's looking very good, wasn't he? That second in the first round augurs very well for Jay Marmont and the rest of the season as we look down on the American Weston Pike getting ready there as well.
Now we see Tim Barr on the far right-hand side of the starting gate carrying the number 811 on the Honda machine. But what a stacked field we've got down here for the final. They are in the starters' hands.
15-second board up. We're looking for that to drop sideways now, and we'll get this party started. On board with Philip Bodie, Lee Hogan.
Yeah, let's look for the drop of the gate. There it is. A great jump from Timmy Abbott. He's on the far outside. Kirk Gibbs on the KTM through the middle. He's got a couple of Suzukis right behind him. Matt Moss and Weston Pike there in second place, the American.
Good start for Weston Pike. Josh Hill up in amongst this as well. And we see Matt Moss already work his way through to third. Kirk Gibbs now looking to check out on this field, but he's got some attention there. Weston Pike nice and close. Then Moss, Hill, McCoy bopping. Marmont a long way back in this one, just in front of Jake Moss and Cade Mosey.
Well, they're second and third place getters from round one, Jay Marmont and Jake Moss, who was second. They're a long way back. They're mid-pack at the moment. If they've got any hope of trying to track down our race one, our round one winner. Oh, Ryder's gone down here. Cade Mosey on the CDR Yamaha. He's thrown the number 48 machine down, and Louis Woods almost cleans him up on the way through.
Well, they're good friends, those two, but that one might have tested the friendship, wouldn't it? Back on the front right now, though, and get a look at Kirk Gibbs. Really has come on this season. We saw him very, very strong on the outdoors, and really looks to me like he's grown into this class. This kid has wanted a 450 ride for a long time, and He's been given this opportunity with KTM, and man, is he making the best of it right now.
Well, he's really starting to come into his own, and those of you that caught the footage from round 1, also here at Hidden Valley Raceway, would have seen that Kirk Gibbs super fast, but threw the big girl down a couple of times, a few crashes. Let's have a look at the GoPro replay here. What a start from Kirk Gibbs up the middle there, and Weston Pike around the outside on the Carlton Dry Honda machine.
Get a look at this GoPro on board. You can see there Gibbs just gets a much better jump there than Daniel McCoy, and got a bike length under brakes there towards the very back of it. And there's Mosig, just got a little bit too on the inside of that one, didn't he, Lee, and just tucked that front.
Well, we can see there from the footage, the front wheel just went over the top of the rut, and Louis Woods, almost like we said, cleaned out the front wheel there. The Sun in a very precarious position here, and that maybe helps explain why Mosig nearly got cleaned out.
Now, explain this to our viewers at home, Lee. When we're looking at the sun like this, it's not just the sun in your eyes, is it? But it's the varying light and the changing light conditions, isn't it?
It sure is, but there's another factor to be brought into consideration. It's hard enough to look at the sun when you don't have goggles or etc. on, but you imagine doing that with a clear lens on a set of goggles, and you see some crazy stuff. There's some weird stuff going on. Very hard to focus on what you're trying to look at.
How do you pick the landing on this triple? These guys are essentially coming out of blind. The face is in shade and the landing's in bright light, isn't it?
Well, that's true, but the only thing that you can hope for is the fact that you've done this particular jump hundreds of times before right up till this point. So these guys are relying on past experience and a lot of skill. On board with Weston Pike, the Carlton Dry Honda rider, making their way down. They tip it into a right-hander here, a very, very tricky off-cambered corner, and they go across the start line. This track is massive. Let me point out to the fans out there, almost a minute 20 it takes to do this Supercross track. Now, I know promoter Yuriv Konski wanted to come up with a track here that was quite possibly the biggest we've ever seen in Australia.
I think he's definitely done that one. Oh, Kirk Gibbs is definitely looking to me like he's riding right on the bubble right now, Kirk Gibbs, isn't he? Very, very aggressive and just a little bit, I hate to say the word sloppy, but just looking a little bit too aggressive, isn't he?
Just riding on the edge, letting it all hang out a little bit. Some riders, they like to do that. Others like to keep it nice and smooth. Matt Moss is a rider that can do it both ways. And what I'm liking from him so far in these very early stages of round 2's main event, he's showing a cool, calm and collected head here. He's easing his way into the race, much different to what we've known or what we've seen from him in the past, which is sometimes a little bit erratic because he has got more will, more desire and drive than anyone I've seen out there at the moment.
He's looking very, very strong as we pick up pictures there of Josh Hill, followed by Daniel McCoy, and then the rest of those guys stacked through. They're at speed. Sam Martin charging in now. Gibbs, have to say, his speed has come on, and right now the guy Rob Tyrwald and the guys from Motorist KTM will be really, really pumped on the performance that we've seen from this kid so far this year. Just a little bit of a mistake there to the very outside and clipping that OGO tough block. Now Weston Pike trying to get on terms with Gibbs. Watch to the inside here. Gibbs, he just about hits the back wheel of Gibbs.
Well, he came up a little bit short there, and that propped him and caused him to have to shut it down going into the corner. Weston Pike very lucky not to slam into the back of the KTM rider here. But Kirk Gibbs no doubt will be feeling the pressure as we speak, not only from Weston Pike, but he would know that Matt Moss, the winner from round 1, is just sitting back there, biding his time. Have a look at that line. Outside, cutting back to the inside, staying out of that deep rut.
Go on board with the GoPro replay here, and we watch as Gibbs goes up the face, just a little bit short. You'll notice comes up short, and Pike does exceptionally well there. Reflexes of a cat there, Weston Pike, to get out of the way and not tap the back wheel of Kirk Gibbs. Here we go again.
Well, he just happened to be on the right side of Kirk Gibbs. If he was on the left-hand side trying to set up for a pass, there's no way he would have been able to stop, and he would have high-sided into the berm. So very, very fortunate there for Weston Pike.
Just a little bit squirrely through those whoops. Interesting to note there as well, Lee Hogan, that Matt Moss, instead of just trying to run the whoops at speed, he's using them as a bit of a rhythm section now. Is that because they're starting to get a little bit cupped out and a bit beaten up?
Not necessarily because they're cupped out, but because they're starting to get beat down around about 4 or 5 whoops in, and then around about 10 or 12 whoops in, there's getting a couple of low ones, and what he's doing is he's in and out in 3 leaps, and it makes it so much easier and you save a lot of energy. Weston Pike goes to the inside, trying to make a little bit of a pass, but only gets right next to Kirk Gibbs. Once again, they touch bikes here. This is exceptionally close racing between the KTM rider and the American.
The one thing I do know from Kirk Gibbs in the outdoors this year is that he will not back down. He's not going to be bullied and pushed around. And at some point, he and Billy McKenzie came together in New Zealand. They did it again in Wonthaggi this year. As we go on board and have a look at this now, watch the very outside here, and you watch Pike tries to come to the inside, and he's done pretty well here, Pike. He could have been a little bit more aggressive and put him over the burn there, couldn't he, Lee?
Well, he certainly could have been a lot ruder as they come together. That was unintentional, that one. But the corner after the finish line jump is where Weston Pike really could have thrown it in hard. He could have made the pass. He could have made a rude pass. I was pretty impressed with that. You're out here for the full series. You don't need to go in too hard and make enemies straight away. He's like a linebacker over in the USA. I've got to say, he's built like a Sherman tank, really.
He is a big guy, isn't he? Which is quite, I wouldn't say weird, but different from motocross guys. A lot of these guys have a lot of muscle, but the majority of them are quite slightly built because they are so fit right now.
Well, you can kind of get away with it because he's not super tall. If you combine, you know, let's say a 6-foot person with the kind of muscle that he's got, you're going to be weighing up around, you know, 90, 95, close to 100 kilos, and you don't want that kind of weight on a motocross bike.
Oh, Gibbs tucks the front.
All by himself, he went down, front wheel tuck and straight on the deck.
Jake Moss is going to be the beneficiary of this. Now, Kirk Gibbs lucky here, electric start on those KTMs. Hasn't got to worry about getting the Kickstarter out and getting that thing going, but he picks it up behind Jake Moss now. Daniel McCoy looking to put a bit of pressure on his teammate now. What's the best thing for Kirk Gibbs to do here, Lee? He's really got to settle a bit, hasn't he?
Well, you do, and that's one thing. You almost need to play a bit of a competition with yourself. And if you make a mistake like that and you go down, see how quickly you can get back into a rhythm, because a rookie, being his first year up in the open class, we've got to classify him as a rookie. And it's very easy for a rookie to make another mistake, and all of a sudden the checkered flag comes out, you're back in the pits and you're going, what just happened? You don't even know what happened because it snowballed that badly.
We'll pick up the GoPro replay here and we'll just have a look at Kirk Gibbs. As he gets over this finish line jump, he looks like he's trying to protect his line a little bit. Just a little bit too much front brake, and job done. Locks up that front. As much as his foot was out, he wasn't going to keep that bike upright, was he?
Well, you can see, hopefully, yeah, we can see very easily there. What happened is the last minute he realised, hang on, I'm going to get past here, and he tried to turn on a dime with no berm, no rut, always going to go down, but he's just trying to protect the lead. Hungry, trying to keep in that position, but it wasn't going to happen.
Weston Pike did apply all sorts of pressure to the back of him, and showing the experience that Weston Pike's got over the last few years in racing in the AMA, and particularly in the Supercross now. The first time we've seen Weston Pike lead so far in Australia, and a lot of talk coming into this series that he was going to have something from Matt Moss, and time for Matt Moss to show us what he's got right now, isn't it?
Well, that's for sure. And the battle that we expected to see at round one but didn't eventuate was between Matt Moss and one of the top Americans. Whether it was Weston Pike, whether it was Josh Hill, of course, the dream run we would have loved to have seen is all three of them in there having a nice little battle. We didn't see that at all. It was Matt Moss that checked out and a lonely ride back in second place for his brother Jake Moss. We didn't really see the Americans anywhere. Now we've got Weston Pike up at the head of the pack. Just a couple of seconds back is Matt Moss, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see these two light it up.
Good battle going on there as well between teammates, between Gibbs and Daniel McCoy. Now you're right, look at Matt Moss, really got some good flow going through those corners there right now. Matt Moss, and again, just using a bit of rhythm through these whoops, and not necessarily fast by the looks of that one, but it looks pretty cool.
It does look cool. The main thing is that it saves energy. It minimises the risk of having a crash. Rather than trying to skim across a set of whoops, all of a sudden you miss a low one, hit the next one, it gives you a big kick, and when you're starting to run out of energy, it's a real risk of having a crash. I don't think we're going to see Matt Moss run out of energy though. GoPro replay here.
GoPro replay, as you said, Lee. Chris Camilleri here. Looks like he's had enough here, Camilleri. He's had a tough couple of days. He's been doing double duty, riding freestyle. He's actually looking down at that bike there. So
Could
I would
be
say
a flat tyre or something along those lines. Goggles off, time to pull the pin.
Funny, in motocross you can get away with a flat tyre, but on a Supercross track there it's so unforgiving, isn't it?
Now it's a great battle here between Tim Varr and Matty Hayworth. Now Matty Hayworth is actually on a guest ride with the Monster Energy Kawasaki team. Great opportunity for him.
Absolutely it is. Very unfortunate with Adam Monia. I was really looking forward to Adam Monia riding in the Supercross. You know, very, very strong outdoors Adam Monia. I think he and Kirk Gibbs at this point in time really are standing up as the next lot of guys that we're going to see come forward and work their way into this pro open field.
And it's great to see a couple of the rookies coming through this year and doing a sensational job. Kirk Gibbs was the standout one, but it really was a good tussle there between himself and Adam Monia on the Monster Energy Kawasaki. But a couple of unfortunate circumstances threw Adam Monia's year into a little bit of a tailspin, and of course the latest thing is his injury, unfortunate shoulder injury, which will see him out of the whole Supercross series.
Major bummer here. We go up back on board now with Daniel McCoy. Interesting to note here, he was on the back wheel of Kirk Gibbs earlier on, and Gibbs looks like he's just found his groove back as we see Moser get past the finish line there. Found his groove back again, Gibbs, and pulled out a little bit. Jake Moss sitting very, very well right now.
Yeah, Jake Moss is hungry and he's so fit, training exceptionally hard, as does his brother, but he doesn't want to be back there in second, third, fourth, fifth. He wants to be up there battling with Matt and hopefully win. He knows that his brother won the first round. He wants to turn it around so that they can be equal points going into round 3. It's a long way from happening here. Matt Moss is in such a good position. He is stalking the back of Western Pike, and let me tell you, make no mistake, he is choosing to sit back there. Mossy has got a lot more speed than what he's showing at the moment.
At what point do you reach that lead? Do you wait till you see the guy in front, maybe make a few little mistakes, or do you have a look at his lines and then decide, right, this is it, I'm going to get by this guy before the third place catches?
Well, that's the art of being a champion, and obviously Matt Moss in that position at the moment. He will not only be riding the track and avoiding lap riders, but he'll be assessing his main competition in Western Pike, and he'll see when he starts to get a little bit worried or fatigue a little bit, start to feel the heat, get a little bit jet lagged, all of the above. And as soon as they start to feel the pinch, that's the time to pounce. If he pounced at the moment, I guarantee you Western Pike has got something. He'll come back. So it's all about timing, and I think you'll see it with around about 4 or 5 laps to go.
Oh, a bit of a front wheel there from Matt Moss. Poked the front wheel there on Western Pike. You just caught it in the edge of your picture there. You'll sweep right and then left and line up those whoops and get a look at this. Speaking of ready to pounce, Matt Moss, in the space of, what, half a lap, Lee, has zeroed right in on the back of Western Pike. Looks to me like he's setting something up here, Lee.
He is outside, back to the inside, straight across to the left here. Now let's see, and makes the pass. A little bit of contact. Oh my God, how close was Western Pike to going down? And how quickly did Matt Moss just drop the hammer? His body position, everything changed in that last half a lap.
It just was almost like he was actually listening to us, wasn't it? Okay, boys, this is how I'm going to do this now, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to make the pass. Looked to me like the contact was a little bit innocuous. Western Pike maybe just turned in a little bit when Matt Moss had him up high.
Let's take a look at the GoPro replay here of the pass. Setting up outside, back to the inside, straight across to the inside, and the pass was already made. And very lucky to stay on board. How was the strength needed by Western Pike to do that? Now, ladies and gentlemen at home, you might be looking at and thinking to yourself, here we see up the inside once again. That was the moment that it all came together. Now, I was just about to make mention, Cam, you might watch Matt Moss do that and think to yourself, that sounds like a really good game plan. Why doesn't everyone do that? Just sit back and pounce. And then when they tire out, just make the passing move like that. But you don't understand how much fitness it takes to be able to sit back and conserve the energy like he has, and then make that move happen.
And the presence of mind, I guess, as well, Lee, because you think about it, you're riding a very technical supercross track, your heartbeat's bound to be around the 140 to 160 for most of these guys, and then you've got to have the presence of mind to instantly go, okay, I've got to turn it on now, I need to make this pass and get the job done. And
also have the confidence to realise that you haven't left it too late. You don't want to be thinking to yourself, right, 2 or 3 laps to go, I'll make the move now. Next thing, 1, 2 laps goes past. All of a sudden, the last lap board's out, and your current race leader will be thinking, I can hold on for another lap here. All of a sudden, you've made the mistake. No problems, no mistakes whatsoever for Matt Moss. Jake Moss starting to reel in a slightly fatiguing Western Pike here, and a very solid 4th placing for Kirk Gibbs back there.
He's looking very good at the moment, isn't he? And the more experienced Daniel McCoy will really be looking to get on terms with his teammate. We all know in any form of motorsport, the first person you've got to beat is your teammate. And Daniel McCoy at the moment, you know, Kirk Gibbs has definitely got the better of him in this race.
He sure does. On screen at the moment, Matty Hayworth, once again all over the back of Timmy Barr on the BCP Honda. And these boys are about to be put a lap down by Matt Moss, the red-plated Matt Moss, current championship leader, and looking to extend his lead here with maximum points once again at round 2.
Timmy Barr does the right thing there, as did Matt Hayworth. You can see that battle's kind of gone astray now, as they both did the right thing to get out of the way of these leaders. Really experienced athletes, to know that these guys are coming, pull up and give them racing room, isn't it?
It sure is. Important to mention that Tim Barr is in 10th place, Matty Hayworth in 11th, so they're still battling for top 10 position in all of Australia's best supercross riders here. Nothing to hang your head in shame about right there, but they're getting their lap put down by these guns.
Now Western Pike gets by, and we go back at the front with Matt Moss, and man, he looks like he definitely has just clicked another gear here, Matt Moss. He puts a lap on Louis Woods.
Now what he's managing to do is duck and weave his way around the track and find a line that's making us look, while we're watching, that it's a very smooth track here. Have no doubt in your mind this track is not smooth. You watch some of the other riders out there when they're slamming their way through these little kicker bumps, a few front wheel washes here and there, back wheel popping out of ruts. This is a very tricky and technical track here. But just like if it's your Villapoto in America, your Caroli over in Europe, when you watch the top athletes at their best, they make a gnarly track look exceptionally easy.
Yeah, Matt Moss has done today, and you can see the amount of roost and the little stones and the pebbles that we're seeing. Lawson Boppings just dropped the bike there in that back corner there, so tough day at the office for the CDR guys. And is that Josh Hill?
No, that was Sam Martin that just went from one side of the whoops, rode straight across to the other side and pulled the pin right there. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Keep our eye on Sam Martin and make sure everything's all right there for the Martin Huntington and Sure My Ride rider back on board now with Western Pike. There's that start gate. You can see tough little section this one, isn't it, Lee? A lot of these guys, they were trying to quad up, but it turns out just quicker and easier to triple in and then single the inside now.
Yeah, that's for sure. A lot of them in practice were quadding all the way up and over. As it turned out, no faster and a massive risk to be able to do it every single lap. And the takeoff ramp's got a completely different shape off to the left-hand side. Was giving him a real big kick. We're back watching Matt Moss, the man in fine form at the moment. Jake Moss here on the Campbell Mining Suzuki machine, carrying the number 6 on that bike. Doing a great job out there. It's not going to be a top 2 for him, unfortunately, this time around, but it is certainly looking like a rock-solid podium once again.
Yeah, he's locked and loaded there at the moment, isn't he? Kirk Gibbs looks to me like he definitely has his flow back now. Jake Moss keeps saying, I've finally got into a season where I'm not hurt. So he hasn't got to play catch-up, and the mental games aren't anywhere near as bad. So Jake Moss coming into the Supercross season really does look on form right now.
And I tell you what, Suzuki Australia, the company, must be pinching themselves and saying, thank God we managed to secure this man on screen at the moment. It was really at the 11th hour they managed to get him. It was very, very close. Negotiations went sour. The contract was almost torn up because of something very, very small. And then all of a sudden, an understanding was come together again, and bang, he's back on board. And he has dominated the Outdoor Motocross Championship and looking to do the same in Supercross. What a year for Matt Moss. What a year for Suzuki.
Looks set to reward them now. Matt Moss, last lap board just being shown to him. Jess Foreman and Jay Foreman and Nathan, all those guys at Team Motor Pro Suzuki, they will be super pumped on this performance if Matt Moss gets through his final lap.
It'll be 2 wins from 2 starts. What a great job. Daniel McCoy we're on board with at the moment. He is trying to get up that one position, trying to get himself up, which will be into the top 4. Very unlikely to happen. His teammate Kirk Gibbs still doing an unbelievable job up there, but less than half a lap to go for the 102 machine on the Motul Pirelli Suzuki. Have a look at him. He doesn't even look fatigued at all.
He's in great shape right now, Matt Moss, riding with a big sail full of confidence right now. A few corners left to go. That's the one where he made the pass for the lead on Western Pike. Down this big downhill triple, almost enough time to celebrate now, Matt Moss. He'll sweep right and through this last section.
And what an amazing job he's done. Slipped a little bit sideways there, but it will be no problem whatsoever. Receiving the pit board from the last time from his mechanic. 1 corner to go, up and over to receive the checkered flag. Round 2 of the Terex Australian Supercross Championships goes to Matt Moss. What an unbelievable ride.
Solid ride from Matt Moss. Western Pike, the Carlton Dry Honda will get second, and Campbell Mining Services Privateer Suzuki. Jake Moss rounds out the podium in 3rd place. Again, the Moss twins on the podium. Greg Moss at home will have a smile from ear to ear right now.
He'll be absolutely pumped, as will Daniel Reardon, the 2 trainers behind these 2 absolute superstars. Great job. A little bit of a high five there. Look to me, Jake just breathing that little bit harder. He had to come from a little bit further back, obviously. Matt Moss taking a solid victory here from Western Pike, and Jake Moss rounding out your top 3. Kirk Gibbs and Daniel McCoy, a couple of KTMs round out the top 5.
That's the best ride I've had in a long time. It was a lot better than yesterday. You know, I wish I was up front from the start. I definitely felt like I should have been up there, but you know, I got pinched off real bad at the start. I think it was like 8th or 9th. And yeah, but by the time I got into 3rd, I was done. Like, I couldn't breathe, had arm pump, and had nothing left. And I just pretty much settled for that. I was hoping that he might fade a little bit more and I could put on a couple laps at the end, but yeah, I was done.
It's my first time on the bike over here, so we're just trying to make changes as much as we can to get the bike suited for my riding style. And you know, today we put it together. We started getting a better setting. You know, every day we've been working on it. So you know, I've been pumped the Carlton Dry Honda team, and you know, they've really been a great help to me. And you know, awesome that we finally got on the podium.
Little bit ominous signs there for your competitors, mate. You showed yesterday you can whole shot and check out. You showed today you could be patient, get not such a good start, just sit there and then pounce when it mattered. It's pretty scary.
Yeah, I learned a lot in motocross, and I just, you know, carried my racecraft into that. So happy with the win, and I'd just like to thank Mydrate as well, and glad you all had a good time.
All right, let's take a look now at the championship points. Maximum 50 points for Matt Moss, back in 42 points, his brother Jake Moss. Weston Pike, the first of the Americans, on 36 and just 1 point back to Jay Marmont.
Kirk Gibbs, Daniel McCoy, Josh Hill, Lawson Bopping, Cade Mosey and Timmy Varr rounding out the top 10 as we head towards round number 3.
Something just a little bit special here. Let's have a look at the magic moment of this event. And we are on board, of course, with Weston Pike as he gets the pass, that sensational block pass put on by Matt Moss. That was the changing of the lead. Let's take another look.
And to our magic moment here, Matt Moss to the very inside. The thing that I find the most magic about this is the fact that Weston Pike managed to hang on to that machine.
Well, what an event it's been. Round 2 of the Terex Australian Supercross Championships here at Darwin's Hidden Valley Raceway. Pro Open class, we just witnessed something very cool. Matt Moss showed us another side. We saw that he can whole shot and check out. We also saw today he can get a bad start and be very smooth and calculated and pounce when the time came.
And didn't he pounce? It was a very tenacious pass. He got in there, got the job done and got out. Just gave himself enough of a gap then over Weston Pike and Pike just couldn't close it down after that.
Jake Moss, a solid third placing after yesterday's second. Couple of podiums, nothing wrong with that. Well, like we said, what an event it has been. Can't wait for round 3 of the series at Mount Gambier. On behalf of myself, Lee Hogan, Cam Williams, and our experts commentator, former world champion Ben Townley, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next at round 3. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Darwin's Hidden Valley Raceway, round 2 of the Australian Supercross Championship. What a stacked field we've got down here for the final. They are in the starters' hands. Great jump from Timmy Abbott. He's on the far outside. Kirk Gibbs on the KTM through the middle. He's got a couple of Suzukis right behind him. It's outside back to the inside, straight across to the left here. Now let's see. And makes the pass. A little bit of contact. Oh my God, how close was Weston Pike to going down? On the far outside, Kirk Gibbs on the KTM through the middle. One winner. Oh, Ryder's gone down here. Cade Mosey. There we see Weston Pike up the inside, giving a little bit of an arm. Thank you. Oh, bit of a problem. Eject left and straight into the back of the berm there for Draper.
Get on turn for Gibbs. Watch to the inside here. Gibbs, oh, it just about hits the back wheel of Gibbs.
Coming up after the break, we look back on the dramatic final race of the 2018-19 FIA Formula E Championship from the streets of New York City.